Welcome to Rich Tribe. Okay, I really want you to think about something for just a second here. What if? What if the reason you aren't wealthy yet has absolutely nothing to do with how hard you're working?
Wait, hold on. Nothing to do with hard work? That literally goes against everything we're ever taught, right?
Exactly. It completely flips the script. Look, what if you're grinding away, putting in the hours, but there's this invisible script running in the background of your mind that's completely sabotaging your efforts? Today, we're diving deep into the hidden mechanics of money and exactly how you can identify and, more importantly, rewire your own personal money blueprint. It's kind of a harsh question to ask yourself, isn't it? Is your mind actually programmed for poverty? I mean, most of us want to believe we're fully in the driver's seat when it comes to our financial destinies.
Right, exactly. We just naturally assume, hey, if I can just get a better paying job or maybe save a little bit more, I'll be totally fine. But a lack of money isn't really the root problem here, is it?
Not at all. It's actually just a symptom. It's the direct result of a subconscious money blueprint that you likely inherited when you were just a little kid. Let's actually look at how this whole thing works under the hood. To really grasp this, we've got to look at author T. Harv Eker's TFAR formula. Basically, it stands for this: thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and your actions lead to your results. Okay, got it. So if my results, let's say an empty bank account, are like the fruit on a tree, I can't just walk up and tape new fruit to the branches and expect the entire tree to be fixed. Precisely. That's such a great way to put it. You literally have to go underground and fix the roots. It's your deeply ingrained subconscious thoughts that are building this automatic blueprint, and that blueprint completely dictates the financial results you're seeing in your life right now. So where do those roots actually come from? Like, how does this programming get forced onto us so early on? Well, it usually comes from three main places. First up is verbal programming. Think about what you actually heard growing up. Things like money doesn't grow on trees or money is the root of all evil. Second is modeling. What did you see? Did money cause immense joy in your house, or was it the source of bitter, stressful arguments for your parents? And the third one is specific incidents. What kind of financial traumas did you personally experience? Because all of these things combine to form a subconscious thermostat setting for your personal wealth. And man, there is a totally stark contrast here when you look at it. Rich thinking says, I create my life and it plays the game to win. But poor thinking, it says, life just happens to me and it plays the game strictly not to lose. Okay, I hear you, but give me a real-world example of this in action. How does a bad mental blueprint actually end up sabotaging someone who is making really good money? Oh, perfect example. Take a guy named Steven. This guy was pulling in $800,000 a year, which is huge, but his net worth? It was exactly zero. He was dead broke. Why? Because his mother verbally programmed him as a kid to believe that rich people are inherently greedy. So subconsciously, anytime he accumulated any real money, his internal blueprint forced him to just blow it or lose it, all just to avoid feeling greedy. Okay, let me challenge that assumption for a quick second here, because it's not all just mindset, right? Like, what about the whole myth of the self-made millionaire? The stark reality is that a lot of these famous billionaires had massive help. Like Jeff Bezos receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from his parents to get Amazon off the ground, or Warren Buffett, whose dad was literally a wealthy stockbroker. That's not just a mindset thing, that's a massive financial head start. And honestly, this isn't even a new phenomenon. If you look at historical data going all the way back to the Victorian era, it shows that only about 20% of those super rich Lancashire mill owners actually came from a working class or poor background. The wealthy have kind of always created this myth of meritocracy while quietly inheriting their wealth behind the scenes. Systemic inequality is incredibly real. You know what? You are absolutely right. The system is definitely skewed, and we absolutely must acknowledge those real systemic inequalities. But if you're an individual trying to actually build wealth for yourself today, you have to pivot your focus.
Right, because I can't just magically control who my parents are, and I certainly can't instantly fix the entire global economy.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. But what you can control right here and now is identifying and rewiring your own internal psychology. Because honestly, if you don't fix the blueprint first, even winning the lottery isn't going to save you in the long run. But is it really just as simple as thinking rich? Because there are very real, very tangible mental roadblocks that keep people completely stuck. It can't just be positive vibes.
Oh, no, it's not simple at all. Your mental health literally acts as a physical gatekeeper between your pure intention to build wealth and your actual ability to take the action. It is definitely not just standing in front of a mirror doing positive affirmations. It's about building real, sustainable psychological capacity.
Let's look at some hard data on this. There's a fascinating study using the German socioeconomic panel, and it showed exactly how effective states, we're talking about things like depression and anxiety, actively block people from investing their money. They make you incredibly pessimistic about the market, and they severely lower your internal sense of self-worth.
Wow. So they massively increase your risk aversion then, meaning your emotional state literally blocks you from participating in the very wealth-building vehicles like the stock market that you need to get ahead?
So, the million-dollar question then. How does the average person actually overcome these incredibly deep mental blocks? Like, how do we actively expand our capacity for wealth and actually rewire that broken blueprint without just subconsciously sabotaging ourselves the minute we start making some money?
Well, you really have to consciously expand your internal capacity. I want you to think of yourself like a balloon. If you try to blow way too much air, or in this case, money, into a really tiny balloon, what happens? It pops. You literally have to become a larger balloon.
Okay, I love that analogy. So step 1 is actively raising your awareness of those old limiting beliefs. Step 2 is adopting tactical rich habits. And then step 3 is basically committing to growing yourself so that you're just fundamentally bigger than your problems.
Spot on. If you really analyze the daily habits of self-made wealth builders, you'll see they operate completely differently than most folks. The average mindset, it's always buying based on the absolute lowest price. But the wealth builder, they're always buying for long-term value.
Makes sense. And the average person usually sets really short, maybe 2-year goals just to buy some flashy luxury items so they can look rich to their friends, right?
Yes, exactly. Whereas the true wealth builder sets a deep, meaningful 10-year vision. They aren't trying to just look rich today. They are putting their head down and building the actual systems to truly be wealthy tomorrow. Okay, show me the proof then. Prove to me that these really slow, totally unglamorous habits actually work for an average working-class person who didn't inherit a single dime.
All right, challenge accepted. I am going to give you 8 million reasons why this absolutely works.
I want you to meet Ronald Reed. This guy was a gas station attendant and a janitor up in Vermont. The man literally wore a safety pin on his coat to hold it together, and he would park blocks away just to avoid paying parking meters. But listen to this. When he passed away in 2014, he left behind an absolutely staggering $8 million fortune.
No way. How is that even mathematically possible on a janitor's salary? That's insane.
It's possible because he completely mastered the psychology of wealth. He never let his ego dictate his spending. He just patiently, quietly invested his modest income into solid, dividend-producing blue-chip stocks. And then he just got out of the way and let the immense power of time and compound interest do all the heavy lifting for him. He had the internal capacity to hold all that wealth without feeling any need to show it off to the world. And Ronald Reed's story, it is the ultimate proof that mastering your own money blueprint can literally change your family tree forever.
Absolutely incredible. Now, before we look at our final lesson on what all this wealth actually means for your life, we have a quick request for you. Subscribe to Rich Tribe channel, like, comment, and share. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives.
All right, let's ask one final clarifying question to wrap this up. Let's say you actually do it. You put in the work, you rewire your brain, you master your daily habits, and you accumulate all of the capital. Is money actually the ultimate goal here? Is a giant bank account the final answer to a fulfilling life? According to top wealth advisor Mel Abraham, the answer to that is a resounding no. He actually documented something called the 12 regrets of rich people. And it turns out going through all the trouble of rewiring your money blueprint is completely useless if you end up losing your soul in the process.
Right, because they reach that ultimate finish line and just find total emptiness. Like they sacrifice their deepest relationships and their physical health just to chase a number on a screen.
Exactly. They end up with massive, world-class wealth, but absolutely no purpose in their life. You have to remember, wealth is a tool. It is not an identity. And honestly, this brings us perfectly full circle. The absolute secret to success, whether we're talking about financial success or just life in general, is not spending your time trying to avoid problems. The real secret is growing yourself. It's about expanding your capacity, rewiring those deeply held limiting beliefs, and actively aligning your money with your actual core values. So we want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Are you ready to stop blaming the external world, do the genuinely hard internal work, and grow yourself so that you are ultimately bigger than your problems? The choice and your brand new blueprint is entirely yours.